Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Doing
Well,
great.
hey,
How's it going, Greg?
yeah, and
Doing good. It's going to be a fun night tonight. Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We got Scott here. We got a special guest, Dan Thomas, and hopefully he'll be on here a little bit more frequently with us out of Texas. And we have a heck of a lot to talk about here with Trump and the Democrat Congress and the entire mess of D.C.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And an interesting thing that I heard late in the day today that I didn't realize, and I don't know if it's always been the case with these shutdowns, but apparently, as soon as these programs become unfunded and they are officially unfunded, then the president's free to lay off anyone to take whatever steps are required to maintain the budget, and he can take it. He can start firing people right and left because he's in charge of the budget of his executive
Right.
role. So imagine how many people Donald Trump can just fire. He's already cut out, as of now, he's already cut out $8 billion worth of the Green New Deal things that were people that were had yet to be hired. But since it was mandated but not allocated, not budgeted, then he can just kill it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's one of those examples of Trump that seems to be either playing some sort of D chess or he's just happens to be the luckiest politician ever. You know, you can't tell with Trump. It seems like there's no method to his madness until all of a sudden it makes sense. Like,
well,
oh, that worked out perfectly in his favor.
maybe the method is madness. I mean, the whole idea here of like running by chaos, and that's what people talked about in the first term, was that he is, very organized chaos, and that seems to be what he has rekindled in this second term here is very well, what much better organized chaos. And so, I mean, this whole bull in the china shop thing actually might be working because, I mean, he has the Democrats on their heels every which way. I mean, they're arguing healthcare. Obamacare is what they're arguing. That is their entire argument here for illegal aliens, for people who are legal, who are people who were excited about them being deported. They were excited about the entire immigration issue, and they want to fund their health care.
Well,
That's their argument.
The blue states were very busy before Trump came into office. They were very busy figuring out ways to circumvent federal law so that they could either directly give money to illegal aliens for health care or use money that they would have spent on their own citizens. And since they have a federal grant, now use the money that they were going to spend on their citizens to provide medical care for illegal aliens. That's what California was doing. So it's not some theoretical option. It's a way that the Democrats had been, and I don't want to lay this simply on Democrats because Republicans find
Yeah,
ways to game the system too. But
yeah, they
in
do.
this case, it was the Democrats gaming the system, and Trump's big beautiful bill killed their mechanism to do it, and they're desperate to get it back.
Right. I mean, what Democrats do you think are going to join the Republicans in breaking this whole stalemate? I mean, I know a few of the Democrat senators, and I guess you have to have 60 now to make this thing work and to end the shutdown. And so, I mean, Republicans have actually done a really good job of keeping everybody on the same page, which is very ironic compared to the last shutdown when McCain and Flake and everybody else were bucking the entire Republican trend against Trump. And so now they're all in lockstep together, but we need six more Democrats to join the table. And they're talking about Fetterman might be one of the guys who might be jumping ship from Pennsylvania. And so I think if that's the case, I mean, that will probably give the go ahead for all the other Democrats in those bellwether states here to go ahead and jump ship with them.
I don't know. They're not big fans of Fetterman's.
Yeah, no, I mean, but Fetterman is not. I mean, yeah, it's weird because when he was lieutenant governor, he was one of the part of the woke movement and very progressive and very far left. And then once he had a medical issue and he's been elected now, he's really moderated to a degree. I mean, I think he still votes Democrat 75 or 80% of the time, but he has actually mellowed out on the extremism.
Yeah, I think Fetterman's a great example of maybe if Democrats are going to have a future, they're going to have to somehow appeal to that populist sector that they're completely ignoring right now. And so Fetterman, say whatever you want about his politics, and I'm sure he's said plenty of crazy woke things, but this new version
Yes.
of Fetterman,
Yeah.
I think, is the only path forward for Democrats. And shockingly, Fetterman's the only one that seems to realize it up there. In my opinion, I think if Democrats are going to have any kind of future in this country, It's not going to be by promoting illegal aliens and abandoning the working class. It's going to be
No,
this
it's not.
John Fetterman path of populist politics.
I mean, but right now Schumer is so scared of being primaried by AOC or some other New York progressive and having the same result like Mandani is giving to Cuomo and Adams in New York City. And so I think Schumer is scared to death of that happening to him. And his election is up in this term right now for 2026. And so, I mean, until some new leadership of the Democrat Party wakes up and realizes that they're going down the wrong path very quick, rapidly.
Well, for years, frankly, for the entire duration of this podcast, I've been pointing out to people that all this craziness that you see on either side, but it really works well. The Democrats do it really well. When you hear crazy narratives coming out of 'em, it's not because they want to solve a problem. It's because that narrative rings the cash register. And since
Exactly.
they don't have any serious power right now, all they have is let's line our pockets. Since Trump killed their little NGO gambit where they were funding NGOs that would fund another NGO that would fund another NGO that would then donate back to their campaigns. Since he took that mechanism away from them, they are struggling to figure out how they're going to replace it. And they just get progressively crazier and crazier narratives because they can't because it's the only way they can put money in their pockets.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Democrats have spent decades now, well, at least a couple of decades, building this idea that they're going to replace their voting bloc by importing new illegals, somehow getting them to register to vote, and then everything's going to work out. They'll never lose another election. And now that's just eroding under their feet. And they don't know where the dry land is anymore. They're just struggling to grab onto any kind of straw they can. And it's not, I don't think they come out of this shutdown looking good at all,
No,
especially after, telling us the last 4 or 5 shutdowns that it was the worst thing on earth, that children are going to die if the government's not open. And now they're the ones shutting down the government. So
exactly.
what are we supposed to believe out of all this?
Well, they're trying to
There's
push
no
grandma.
consistency.
They're trying to push grandma off the cliff and trying to make sure that we're all feeding everybody dog food like they were doing with Newt Gingrich and saying that he was abusing the elderly back in the 90s. I mean, this is the same old thing that they are doing every single time we argue this out. And I mean, I think people are finally catching on that, it's stale. It's not working.
Well, you have to argue facts to win court cases, but you got to argue feelings to win fundraising events. And that's why the Democrats are so good at it.
Exactly. They are raising money. And I
Oh,
will say that. I mean, AOC and those guys, they're raking in through Act Blue and the other progressive platforms. They're raking in the money because I mean the crowdfunding is through the roof with this. I mean, it's really sad how they're pulling all the different triggers of people here to just donate $5 or $10 or $20. I mean, they're not getting the big donors. All the big tech guys are all going Republican now. I mean, more or less probably the way to get a government contract more or less more likely than they're going right. But that's the way it is. But as far as the crowdfunding goes, I mean, that's really increasing a lot with the Democrat Party, and the Republicans need to step up to that and figure out how to get the same emotions on the Republican side to fundraise at the same level. That's one thing I think the Republicans have got to start waking up to that area and need to realize this situation here is a perfect situation to dictate and point out all the frailties, all the fallacies of the Democrat Party. Totally.
well, yeah, yeah. The Democrats have been on this path for a long time. They haven't been. I don't know. This is their strength, and I'm glad that other news outlets are really kind of starting to pick up on this. Greg saw the same story or heard the same story on Fox News the other day. That this is all a fundraising scam, and I'm telling you, we've been behind the scenes when these narratives are created, and we sit here and when you consider that a fundraiser, like if you're a contract fundraiser and you have a list of people that you've been fundraising off of for years and you bring it to somebody, then your commission is going to be about 70%. All right. Why do you want to solve the problem if that's your commission?
Exactly.
You want to amp up emotions and make sure that no one ever works. As long as people are angry, they're not going to work together. The Democrats have shown us very well over the last 10 years just how they can punish someone who steps out of line even a little bit. So people aren't willing to do that. So they're just willing to let everyone do their own little fundraising narrative, regardless of the truthfulness of it.
Yep. So what do you think, real quick to switch topics about the way they're getting away with everything. What about Lisa Cook today? The Supreme Court giving her a stay to go ahead and stay with the Federal Reserve until they hear the arguments here, I guess, in the next cycle for the Supreme Court. I mean, this is mortgage fraud. I mean, why in the heck is anybody letting her stick around or hang around for mortgage fraud to be with the Federal Reserve? I mean, I'm lost on that one.
Your job is to be a banker, and you're not even honest.
Right.
Hey,
You're
how's
lying
that
on
work?
bank forms.
How's that work?
I think if anything, it's really kind of a blessing that we have this scandal at the Federal Reserve because maybe it will finally start to open people's eyes to just what a scam the entire Federal Reserve is.
Is
If you think about the insanity that what we've done here, we've assigned our entire monetary policy for the greatest nation the world has ever known, the world's reserve currency, the US dollar, and it's being farmed out to this completely independent group of bankers that in and of themselves are corrupt. And so we need to take back that power of the US dollar back to the Congress, the way that the Constitution intended. People are going to start learning a lot more about the Federal Reserve, I think, going forward, thanks to this scandal. So, obviously, I mean, yeah, if you got a banker who's accused of mortgage fraud, making decisions about the future of your dollars and the integrity of your dollars, complete and unanswerable to the public, not even answerable to the
no,
president of the United States. If that's the way this turns out, then I think we're going to have a real reckoning here with the Federal Reserve. I think
oh,
there's
definitely.
always two things that you need to know about the Federal Reserve, right? It's not federal and there is no reserve. The whole thing's a scam. And people are about to find out in a big way, I think.
I agree. I mean, the whole idea that she's not even answering to the investigators yet. I mean, and it's not like it was yesterday or last week. This has been 2 or 3 months they've been talking about this, maybe even longer than that. And the fact that she has not even answered the allegations or responded to the allegations and more or less has ignored them is basically thumbing a nose to everything. And on top of that, I mean, the integrity factor, which is really needed for the confidence of the Federal Reserve, is not there anymore as if it was there before. But whatever was left is being depleted quickly.
Well, in order to even get her confirmed, Kamala Harris had to cast the deciding vote. It was 50, not a single
Really?
Republican voted for her.
Wow.
And that is how they got her confirmed. And so I mean, she's that unqualified. Even Lindsey Graham, who famously has said that a president has the right to assemble their own team, and so he always votes in the affirmative, for these appointments. And yet, even he said, because she has no real. The entirety of her banking experience was the 2 weeks she worked for the Federal Reserve in some other capacity. All right, they hired her, and 2 weeks later, Joe Biden appointed her. That's her entire experience. The rest of it is all theoretical and has nothing to do with economics.
It's all nepotism and cronyism and all the other isms.
No, when Joe Biden made the announcement, he said that he was fulfilling his promise to
Okay.
to
Promise.
improve diversity and equity in the federal government, and this is what you get. He had his other DEI hire confirm his current DEI hire.
Well, and I think that's part of this whole government shutdown. The Democrats actually are asking for funding for DEI stuff to be put back in. I mean, they don't give a damn about the shutdown. They do not care at all. I mean, the entire DEI movement, which has been unfunded, and even most of the private corporations around the country have pretty much gotten rid of it altogether. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Texas, but over here in Florida, there's no DEI over here. I don't know what part of Texas are you in anyway, real quick, Dan?
I'm in North Texas, just north of Dallas.
Is there a lot of DEI up there?
No, that doesn't get you too far around these parts.
No, I
So,
Yeah,
wouldn't think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
North, they're liberal out.
exactly. Yeah, even Dallas County now, the mayor himself switched over. Now he's claiming to be a Republican. So,
Really?
then in super liberal Dallas County, the one little liberal island that we have around here, even the mayor himself has had enough. And so he switched
Really.
over. He's calling himself a Republican. But we still have a Soros DA down in Dallas County, but other than that, it's still pretty hard red up here, and not seeing too many DEI hires around these parts.
Now,
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the political violence, and what about have y'all heard about the shootings, the church shootings? I guess that happened this last weekend, where the church got
mm,
set on fire, then the person was
yeah, the
shooting
Mormon
in the
church,
Mormon
yeah.
church, yeah. And
Yeah.
then I guess there's another one. I guess they're both two military veterans, retired Marines, and both the incidences. But you don't hear anything in the news about any of it because there's no political juice to it.
Yeah.
Well,
But the
I
people
mean,
still died,
we've already had enough of these instances where they try to, I guess we've had enough of them where they try to immediately declare that this person, because they have one Republican characteristic like their former
right?
military, then they must be Republicans, and they're out there destroying the world. This is why we can't have guns. And then they go get egg on their face because they realize that, oh, this guy's living with a trans individual.
I mean, I think the whole idea of open carry, though, is one thing that is, here in Florida for sure. It's one thing that's definitely been, ratified here, I guess, a couple weeks ago, to where we can have open carry now totally throughout Florida. I think Texas is the same way. So I don't really see a lot of that type of violence in either one of those states.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Texas has had open carry for a while, and It it doesn't really seem to have changed a whole lot around here. I mean, I think if anything, it just makes it easier for the person who does carry, that if their shirt accidentally comes up at the supermarket, you're not gonna have somebody freak out and call the cops
Right.
on you. So I like it from that perspective. But yeah, I haven't really noticed a big difference. Texas changed that law maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's not like you all of a sudden turn into a Looney Tunes
No.
cartoon where you've got old Sammy Sam running around firing off shots. I think if anything, maybe it's made us safer, but ultimately, I
Yeah.
think there's no difference at all with open carry, best I can tell.
Well, that's
But
the
I think
thing,
it's like,
the people that will carry are, that have the confidence to carry, especially openly carry, are people who tend to be your law-abiding citizens who are genuinely just trying to protect themselves and their
right.
families.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I see, I don't really see any kind of increase of violence happening whatsoever from the open carry that everybody, all the leftists and everything, we're all screaming about here. And also, I mean, I think it would probably do one thing to help stop some of the political violence. If they had open carry in Utah, people were armed in Utah, who the shooter might have been, taken care of before, he got shot off at Charlie Kirk. I mean,
Except it happened out of school, and schools are always
yeah,
safe
Right.
spaces.
that's true.
Yeah, I think the one thread is that they're always looking for these soft targets,
Right,
and I think the other thread is probably the psychiatric history of most of these shooters is probably going to indicate that they're on a fair amount of narcotics. And I think that our medical system just kind of shovels pills at people and
yeah,
sends them right out the door without really checking on their future mental health status.
yeah,
And when they see one shooting go off, they're going to suddenly get the idea to go do it themselves. It is odd how we have kind of these clusters of
yeah,
shooting, just one week after another week after another week. One whack job seems to think that it's acceptable now to go do, or he's got an
right,
axe to grind and he saw that other guy do it and now he's going to go do his. So that seems to be the trend that we're in, unfortunately, right now. And I just don't know how any of that gets solved until we radically change how we address mental illness in this country. Clearly, what
right.
we're doing is not working. And that's not even a political statement. I mean, I would think that anybody could say at this point that our mental health system is a complete failure.
It is.
And the narcotics don't appear to be really helping anybody. I mean, in the time that we've ramped up the amount of prescriptions that we're giving people, suicides have gone up. We're seeing more instances of these mass shootings. All of this stuff has happened at the same time that we're dumping more and more pills at the problem without really any kind of intervention on any level, spiritual or
Right,
otherwise. They
exactly.
just keep shoveling more pills at it. So,
That's one thing Scott and I have talked about a lot. It's a culture that needs to be cleaned and everything else in order to get this fixed. I mean, pills are not going to work. I mean, RFK Jr. is right on a lot of issues about maybe, the whole vaccine thing, the way he's handling it. It's kind of like Trump is a little bull in a China shop of approach. But the reality here, though, is that you just can't force everything down people's throats. You can't mandate that people will take these medications and expect that, there's not going to be a psychological recoil.
Well, I want to agree with Dan on one thing. A lot of this is tied to medications, although it's not so much narcotics as it is um, uh, the mood stabilizers and
Yeah, the
antidepressants.
SSRIs. Yeah, maybe narcotics isn't the exact right word, but certainly pharmaceuticals.
Well, all these almost all of these mood stabilizers, all these antidepressants are things that you have to ramp up on and then ramp down on because otherwise you risk serious either suicidal repercussions or homicidal repercussions. And the dramatic expansion of these medications, the prescription of these medications, is correlates directly with these increase in these shootings because you have people. I mean, it's a recognized side effect of this medication. So why anyone would suggest that the guns are more likely to be causing the violence than the actual medications are is just ridiculous.
It is.
Because I mean, this is the most tired refrain that I've ever heard, that I'm ever heard, but I'm about to utter it. When I was in high school, people brought guns to school. There were guns in the parking lot. There were rifles and shotguns. I mean,
Yeah.
no pistols because people were bringing them for hunting, but still. I mean, they were all over and no one got shot. I take it back. One boy got shot when he was taking his gun off of a rack to bring it to school. It was a 22 and he accidentally shot himself in the thigh. That's the closest we came to violence.
That's
And
good.
I mean, and maybe it's just because I was in a country school and stuff, but people, like the principal used to come by and borrow my knife from me a few times. I mean, it's just so different. I mean, kids, I volunteer at my daughter's school all the time, and I'm paranoid about bringing my pocket knife. So it's just a different world, and it has nothing to do with the guns. It has nothing to do with weapons, and everything to do with the medications and society's belief that it's okay to enforce, your will on people with violence.
Right.
Wow, that sounds kind of Nazi-ish.
Well, talking about Nazi-ish, let's talk about the war in Ukraine and Russia. I guess, everybody's trying to accuse Trump's approach to that issue as well as the Gaza issue and Israeli issue here is him just overplaying his hand, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, he's helping to create peace here. I mean, is that a bad thing to have a little bit of peace?
Traditionally,
I mean,
and
seriously.
for years, politicians have always wanted to kind of hedge things because they were afraid, and in a lot of cases, rightfully so, afraid that if they said the wrong thing, if they said something and it didn't come to pass, then the world would just condemn them and their career would be over. So they've always kind of played their cards close to the vest. Trump, on the other hand, says things that are really aspirational as much as
Right.
anything. Like we're going to put an end to this violence. So he's going to go out and he's going to try it a few times. If it doesn't work, he's going to try something else. If it doesn't work, he's going to try something else. But that's how you get things done in the private sector because you don't have to worry about people firing you just because you accidentally or because something didn't work out the way we hoped it would. But Trump is doing this the right way and in a way that makes it's a risk taking kind of thing that people didn't weren't comfortable with before, and now he's just making it an art form.
Yeah, I mean, like Europe was all supporting Russia and buying things from Russia and everything else, and then Trump got a hold of the people in Europe very well, and they're all buying stuff from America, and the NATO is working properly, and they're all getting behind Ukraine. They're all excited about Russia going down. The whole drone attacks by Ukraine against the Russian military is good. I mean, Trump has approved, which I think is funny actually, that he has to approve Ukraine shooting into Moscow or shooting into Russia. It's kind of weird that Ukraine's asking America's permission to
Okay,
do
okay,
this.
but let me explain that because what he's really doing is telling them that he is going to provide them with the intelligence that would be
Right.
required for them to make effective shots. I mean,
Yeah.
you can just sit there and dump all you want into Russia, but you're going to wind up hitting civilians, and that's going to be counter to what you're trying to achieve there. Versus using American intelligence assets, we can say that in this building at this time of day is a great time for something to explode.
It's just great that we have that kind of leverage in Ukraine like that. I mean, that's wonderful. And then the entire 21 note thing with Gaza,
All right.
the entire 21, I forgot what it was, like a peace treaty
It's
or some sort of
It's a
accord,
21-point plan for
21-point plan. Yeah. And everybody's agreed with it. I mean, Egypt's on board, Saudi Arabia's on board. All the other Middle Eastern countries on board, Israel's on board, and Gaza is like, maybe,
Yeah, well,
maybe, but if we lose control, then no. Hamas
Yeah.
does not want to lose control at all. I get who does.
Yeah, I don't think there's much future for Hamas at this point. I
There
think
shouldn't be.
that the entire Gaza area is basically being held hostage by Hamas, and I don't think that as a political organization they're going to have any future after this. If they turn down this peace treaty, this is it. I mean,
Yeah,
this is the end of the road. And if there's going to be anybody even left in Gaza, that'll be the question at this. Israel has said that they're committed that if this gets rejected, that they're just going to clean house down there. And so I think that's a level of response that I don't think the world's seen for a very long time. And so Hamas, from their perspective, they've really got nothing to lose, and so it's pretty bleak, the entire situation.
right.
The neighboring countries, to their credit, are urging that they accept this deal. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the 2-year anniversary is coming up next week.
well,
Yeah.
the history in that region is such that the reason that the real reason that you can't solve the problem over there is because there's no place for the Palestinians to go. Every time they've tried to take them to another country, when they got to the host country, they were such a problem there. The host country kicked them out, and so they wind up back doing the exact same thing again. But you remember, again, I know I sound like a broken record when I say this. This goes back to fundraising. Right? The people in the Palestinians, the Hamas, people in Hamas, use the Israelis as a fundraising stooge. All right, the exact same way. You got to have a bad guy to have a war. You got to have an evil that you're going to fight. And for Hamas, it's the Israelis. And because all the Muslim countries around them are predisposed to not like the Jews, and then they just sit there and make money hand over fist. So unless we can convince the leadership of Hamas to take a big payoff from someone and get the heck out, then that's the thing that it's going to take to end this conflict. Either killing the entire leadership or making it so painful they can't stay, or bribing them to go away.
Well, it looks like their biggest supporters were all the protesters on all the college campuses, were the biggest supporters for Hamas and Hezbollah. But I mean, I guess did y'all hear today about Harvard? They worked out a deal with the administration to where they're going to put $500 million into
For
trade schools,
trades, yeah.
trades, and
That's
Trump was
where I
pushing
want to
that
go. I want to go learn plumbing from Harvard.
Well, who's gonna
electricians,
hire an
plumbing,
electrician from
and
Harvard?
construction. You're a Harvard graduate. Who
Yeah,
wouldn't hire you? You got a Harvard degree. I went to Harvard. I can nail hammer and nails.
yeah.
What the hell, really?
I
It's
can't imagine. Yeah, he's gonna charge you $4,000 to put in an electrical outlet, I mean, the ridiculous amount of money you'd have to spend to get your, electrician certificate from Harvard.
But one thing it does, one thing it does do, it does recognize the issue here that the working class is graduating, and Scott knows this from doing a lot of developing and building as well. That the people who are doing that are getting older, and the younger crowd just is not there to take over the jobs from the people who are retiring or aging out. And so, I mean, something has to be done to. I mean, not everybody can do cybersecurity, not everybody can do AI. I mean, still need some construction workers. I mean, if Harvard wants to get into that world and the other schools in California want to get in that world of Columbia and Brown and Berkeley and all of them want to help get these people back into trading and I mean tradesmanships and all that, that's wonderful, but it's kind of quirky and funny at the same time.
it's very funny. I mean, it flies in the face of their elitism. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you hire a plumber to, unclog your toilet, and you get a lecture on DEI before he gets to it. I mean, who's gonna hire these people? I
Hey,
mean, you even want them in your house?
the blue states need tradesmen too.
Exactly. They need them. They need them a lot, actually. I think Scott said earlier today that Trump, with all this government shutdown and everything going on, that we have sent National Guard people to Portland now to keep
Yes,
Portland safe. The ICE people safe.
yes, it was really exciting. It was actually kind of amazing timing, and there's probably some kind of algorithm thing going on with this because earlier in the day I saw some story on, I think it was on Facebook Reels or something like that, where they'd cut a news segment. There was a man. They were talking about that when the night sun goes down, Antifa rules the streets in Portland.
Right.
They showed video of a guy literally getting beaten up by Antifa guys with a flagpole and cops in the background. And I'm saying that's not going to go on very long before Trump uses it as an excuse to send the troops in. Well, it turns out they also beat up some ICE officers.
Agents.
So that's all that it took right there. And so now we've got it in there. It's going to be interesting to see this first night when Antifa decides to come out and go up against people who are armed and not handcuffed by the people they work for. Because the reason those cops were standing there is because cops told the city council told them don't do anything. So it's
Yeah.
going
I
to be
mean,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, and I guess he's talking about seeing the National Guard of Memphis if he hasn't already, and Baton Rouge. I think a lot of the different cities around, a lot of the blue cities around the country are seeing that it actually is helping with their safety quite a bit, especially in DC. In DC, the crime rate has dropped dramatically ever since they put the troops on the ground there. I mean,
Okay.
I already don't know how the whole separation of powers thing works. I mean, that's going to be, personally, I don't know if he's going to put active duty people there or it's just going to be guard troops, or if the president has control over the guard, or is it the governor to have control over the guards and he's asking the governor to do it. I don't
No, no,
really
no.
know exactly.
The president nationalized those National Guards troops, so he is their commander in chief.
Okay.
Because otherwise, the governors would just say, "No, no, I'm in charge. You guys go home." So it is Trump.
Okay. So I guess the last topic real quick here is censorship. What's the definition? I mean, you know this, being a news guy. And as a news anchor, the stuff with Jimmy Kimmel, was that really censorship, or was that just a network, enforcing, his monetary decisions?
Trump definitely tried to exert some sort of influence over them. And hey, if he wants to do that, I mean, the Biden administration did that hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of times with all sorts of people, from people you've never heard of with a YouTube channel on up. So yeah, there's no question that other administrations have done it to a much larger extent.
Oh, yeah.
Should it be done? Well, I mean, that's a debate that you can certainly have. But in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, the guy went on air and spread a complete lie. I mean, there is no basis for that joke that he made about Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. And so, I mean, you can't just go on air, say something that's the exact opposite of all the apparent evidence, and try to convince your viewers that some sort of nonsense premise is the truth. And that's exactly what he did, and impugned the integrity of everyone who voted for Trump in the process. So I think so many things about that are so fascinating, that these organizations that have these late night shows clearly don't care if they make any money or not, and haven't for years. The ratings are horrible. No one's watching, but yet these shows continue for whatever apparent reason. Those shows exist for reasons that I don't understand, because no television show I've ever been involved with can exist spending that amount of money and not bringing in hardly any money at all. It makes no sense that it even existed in the first place. So maybe this is a return to sanity on the part of these major broadcasting companies. I don't know.
I don't remember which. It was one of the podcasters that told this story, but it was one of the podcasters who used to be in regular media, and they were telling a story about going to an election thing or something like that, some campaign coverage. Admittedly, it was a major event, but they asked how many people they had there, and it was like 80 or 90. Oh my God, it was Tim Pool. It was Tim Pool. So he was there with like 4 or 5 people, just a couple of technical people and a couple of commentators with him, versus all the regular media people that were bringing these entourages of like 30, 40, and in ABC's case 80 people. So you wonder
Man,
why they don't make money, because they operate that place like it's the government.
I think the biggest thing, in our opinion, that we talked about last week, is I think the reason they're on the air is more as a political operative, a political arm of the Democratic Party. I mean, basically, whenever they're basically using the public airwaves without any kind of fair and balanced approach, to where they're basically giving their only one side of the issue and not allowing the other side to come on the issue. And we all know that whenever you're on cable, you can do that; on podcasts, you can do that, but on network You're not supposed to do that on network. I mean, they're not a news show. They're acting as a political organization and a political arm of the Democrat Party or the left wing party. That's what they're doing.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be just entertaining people, and
Exactly.
what they're doing instead is, like you're saying, they're trying to indoctrinate people. What's really weird to me is that, Saturday Night Live, it's hard to imagine someone more left than Saturday Night Live. And yet, even they will sit there and poke fun at both sides. Like they made fun of Biden just as much as they're making fun of Trump.
Yeah.
Although the Trump stuff's a little harsher, but at least they're taking a shot at Biden, period.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Dana Carvey and David Spade have a podcast, and they're actually talking about their take on the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. They said they knew exactly what to stay away from, and the whole idea is that it's supposed to be satire and indoctrination.
Right.
I mean, period. It's a
Yeah.
mess.
So I don't know I don't know where they get this. I personally, like I said last week, I'm not super comfortable with the government, even suggesting people, govern the way that they speak. But and I think that, Trump made some ill-advised comments, and the FCC guy really made some ill-advised comments, but no one
He
actually
did.
did anything. Versus Biden during COVID, like as Dan pointed out, but during COVID, they were actively sending directives to the social media, to the actual broadcast media, to the cable shows. They were telling them exactly the things that they wanted them to say and the things they wanted them to not say. That is
Yeah.
censorship.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the Biden people are doing at a very high level, from Google all the way to Facebook to, well, not Twitter anymore, because, got
X
Elon
now.
now there. Yeah. Well, the other Twitter guy was definitely doing it, but the new guy.
Or Jack Dorsey. Yeah,
Pretty-
Jack Dorsey was all over it. He was
Oh, yeah, he's
all
horrible.
in.
Exactly. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole next week here shapes up here with the shutdown and all the censorship and everything. I mean, the entire rancor out there is just so hostile and so juiced up. It's so weird, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, from the politics to the dang space invaders, this is just the weirdest period I've ever experienced in my life.
I mean, we're looking forward to a hurricane hitting Florida here to calm it down a little bit, But
Yeah.
even the hurricanes are missing Florida.
I got
Right.
to verify this, but that 3I Alpha or whatever it is, that big meteor that was rolling through the solar system, they said it exploded today.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So I got to verify
not.
that. But they said that something hit that thing and it just blew up right where it was.
Really?
And this
All right.
this is an object that was going 180,000 miles an hour through the solar system.
Came in Russia,
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It is Russia. Or no, actually, I think Trump did it.
Or Trump did it. Trump did
Yeah.
it. Exactly. Trump blew up the asteroid. He blew up the meteor.
But
He did it.
It's whoever blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That's who's
exactly. There you
responsible.
go.
Yeah. If we
Yeah.
can just find that person, we'll know who blew up the asteroid.
Exactly.
Before we go, I do want to point out one meme that I saw of a person who was they were talking about Trump. They had the voice of Trump saying that I've determined that air is crucial to the success of America. And then the liberal in the background is like, what? Trump said what? And then they're getting a plastic bag and putting it over their face.
Yeah, very true. And I think that, to kind of sum it up and go back to what we were first talking about, I think the Democrats have positioned themselves as abandoning their base, the working class, and now they're just simply the party that's against everything that Trump does, no matter what it is.
Well, Trump's in charge. Trump is now in charge of the Democrat Party because everything that he says, they do. It's hard to picture anyone who could more effectively shoot themselves in the foot than the Democrat Party has over the last 10 years.
But they're doing a good job at it.
It is their go-to move.
Well, you guys, thanks for having a good conversation here tonight. And hopefully Daniel will be back with us here next week or the week after. And thanks a lot. And you guys have a wonderful night. And thanks for joining the Political Matrix News.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.
See you later.